This $25 item saved my life at work. Now, what exactly is this item and what happened to where I almost died at work? This happened a while back, but this was something that, sometimes I think about, and I said, you know what, I should tell a story because this is something that is worth telling so someone else can learn hopefully from my story so it doesn't happen to them. And this also is an important lesson for those of you getting started in a trade, why you should maybe take this lesson you learned from this and apply this in your life when you're at work. What $25 item am I talking about? And this is this. A hard hat. How exactly did a hard hat save my life? Let me tell you the story. I'm gonna try to sum it up for the best I can so this video isn't 3 hours long. This happened a while back. We were doing some rec out at work and the apprentice was up on the pole working. He got done with what he was doing he was up on the pole. He was about 30 feet up in the air between about the primary level and the neutral level. He was climbing down, or he was done with his work and he was about to climb down. So I went to go grab the hand line because he had a hand line hanging down. And I went under the pole where he was climbing and I went to grab the hand line so he could send down a couple tools and then he could climb down and we could go about our day. Well, just as I was going under to grab the hand line, I bend down and grab the hand line and all of a sudden I get smacked right in the noggin and I hit the dirt. I stayed conscious the whole time, but of course I was wondering what in the world just happened because something just hit me so hard in the head, so forcefully and so fast that I was massively confused. And I was trying to figure out what in the world just happened. This is what fell. About 25 pounds worth of tool right here. So this is the Milwaukee hard money gun was what we call it. It's a quick disconnect. And then we have our hard money bit or lull bit, whatever you want to call it. It's for most line hardware, 3/4, 5/8 bolts. And this thing weighs about 20 pounds as it sits just like this. This is exactly what happened. The apprentice, he was done working. Like I said, he was about to climb down. He's kind of he was a newer apprentice. And he had this thing hanging off the side of his climbing belt, which this is just a handline hook. Or, you'll hang your handline on it or you'll put your skid clip on it. This isn't really something you should be hanging tools off of or really anything too much like that could fall out of the air. Well, to our understanding, after the incident happened, he had this hooked in on his belt like this. And well, he went to take a step down on the pole and he jolted so far or so hard and so fast that the money gun jumped off the clip like this. It just went boop, it fell off the clip and then it came down and I happened to be right underneath him and it smacked me right. I don't know how it hit me. I don't know if it was the battery that hit me, if it was the side of the gun. I don't know exactly what happened or what part of this hit me on the noggin. Foreman saw it happen, but he was like, it was just, there wasn't enough time. I saw it fall, and by the time I saw it fall, it already hit you in the head. But it hit me about right here on the noggin. The hard hat, I had my hard hat on, and it smacked me right there on the hard hat. And luckily, I had my hard hat on, right? So that's why this $25 hard hat. Now, of course, the company provided the hard hat. This isn't the exact hard hat I was wearing, but the hard hat I was wearing is the exact brand as this one. This is a Bullard brand. This is a class 1 E and G. So class 1 means it's force of impact resistant for things falling out of the air. I'm not sure what it's tested for exactly, what height and what weight, but basically force of impact to the top of the hard hat right here is what class 1 means. So class 1 rated impact hard hat is top of the hard hat. You'll have class 2 hard hats, which are impact from different angles onto the hard hat top, so the whole entire hard hat is covered. Now the hard hats we wear at work are class 1, so it's impact to the top of the hard hat, and then class E and G, which G is just general. For electrical, it's rated 2200 volts, but because we work with high voltage as linemen, we wear class E rated hard hats, which are rated for 20,000 volts. Type 1 Class E and G hard hats are what we wear at work, and because I was wearing the hard hat, impact gun hit me somewhere on the hard hat and made me hit the ground pretty hard. You know, like I said, I stayed conscious the whole time. I would just like to point out, if I wasn't wearing this hard hat, there's a good chance that I could have died. That's no BS. That's completely 100% the truth. And let me quickly explain why that is the truth. If you do the math for a 15-pound, let's just say this weighs 15 pounds, and you can do the math to find force of impact from something that falls 30 feet. So the apprentice was approximately 30 feet in the air, so I was approximately 30 feet below him. If a 15-pound object falls 30 feet, when it hits the object at 30 feet, the force of impact of a 15-pound object is roughly 3,600 newtons. And you can do the math, 3,600 newtons is roughly 809 pounds of force. And also, not to mention, a type 1 hard hat is rated of impact for approximately 1,000 pounds of force, of impact force. This hard hat, you know, is rated for 1,000 pounds of force. That object, roughly weighing 15 to 20 pounds, hit my hard hat at roughly 3,600 newtons, which is roughly 809 pounds of force. It roughly takes 76 pounds of force to crack or bust open a skull. 1 newton approximately equals 0.225 pounds of force. If you can do 0.225 times 76, is going to give you roughly how many pounds of force. And according to a Japanese study, it only takes roughly, no, I shouldn't say only, it takes roughly 1,200 pounds of force or 5,400 newtons to absolutely crush a skull. A 15-pound object falling 30 feet, force of impact is almost enough to crush a skull. You could say I was at the right place at the right time, although I was at the wrong place at the wrong time. You know, there's a lot of things that could have prevented this from happening, and we can discuss those if you want. You know, I should have stayed out of the hole. Ultimately, what I like to climbing with anything heavy on my belt, I like to have a carabiner on whatever, or a lanyard of some sort to clip it onto my belt, to a D-ring, to snap it onto something so it can't hop off a hook like this and do exactly what happened to me at work. That's a good point to note for any of you, really anyone that works with heights, you know, people working below you, is to have things clipped off, to have things on lanyards, to have your tools and material safeguarded so if it does fall, it doesn't crush the person below you and potentially kill them. Because a 15, 20-pound object, it doesn't take much, 30, 40, 50 feet to crush someone's skull and, well, kill them. And that's the last thing we want to happen at work. I was fine, nothing happened to me. I had a little bit of a sore neck. We wrote it up, turned it in, just said monitor to keep, if anything happens, you know, of course you go to the doctor and get it figured out. You know, it hit me right here, kind of got a sore neck. I hit the ground, stayed conscious the whole time, was a little bit dizzy, just took it easy the rest of the day. Didn't end up going to get it checked out, but we had it written up, you know, in case something does happen down the road, I can always refer back to that accident report. So yeah, that was a lesson learned for both, well, me and the apprentice and everyone else on the crew. Look up and live. Try to stay out of the hole if there's someone working above you. It was just kind of a freak. It's truly an accident that shouldn't have happened, and there was many ways to mitigate exactly what happened. But you know, that's the thing about at work. There's just, you're dealing with heavy things, you're dealing with heights, there's unpredicted things that happen that are straight up just accidents. Just a reminder to any of you watching this video that it doesn't take much. No matter what trade you're working in, if you're working with heights or heavy objects and tools, it doesn't take much to bust your skull open. 76 newtons, that's all it takes to crack your skull open. And if you have a hard hat type 1 or type 2, it's a good idea to wear a hard hat at work, especially when there's potential something falling on your head. Because if you're like me, it can quite literally save your life. And sometimes I think about it like, what if I looked up at the same time that this 25-pound monstrosity of a tool fell and hit me in the face, and you know, I probably would have busted my nose up, broke my face open, and possibly killed me. Or what if I was bent over more and it hit me in the shoulder or collarbone or in my spine? It would have done damage. Luckily, it hit me in the hard hat, and from that day forward, that's why we wear hard hats at work, because of that exact situation. A $25 item like a hard hat literally saved my life. And now hopefully you can learn from this video. This was a freak accident, but that doesn't mean it can't happen again, because accidents happen in the blue collar industry, in the construction world, no matter what trade you work in. There's so many different variables. Just try to keep your head on a swivel, try to listen and learn, pay attention, try to mitigate things like this could easily be mitigated. Going forward, you know, climbing a pole, if the apprentice is on a pole, I'm gonna make sure that he has a carabiner or something, make sure his tools or piece of material are clipped off so they can't fall and recreate exactly what happened to me in that situation. Hopefully you can learn from this video. With Blueprint, I'm here to expose, teach, educate you about blue collar career opportunities, things that help you in the skilled trades. Also, things like this, these accidents, hopefully you can learn from my mistakes. More stories to come in the future. I have a handful of stories of near-death accidents, near-death experiences for me and other people I've seen, which doesn't sound good because that's never good to hear those kind of stories. But regardless, those happen in the trades, especially in the lineman trade with the things we deal with. I've seen quite a few things happen in my 8, 9, 10 years of experience of working in a blue collar industry. Learn from my accident, learn from my mistakes, learn from my stories. With that being said, I'll catch you on the next one.